Hey everyone. Because I hit 300 subs the other day, thank you everyone. I'm doing a haul video. That and because I hit some collecting goals for myself. Like this, it's not in use right now. I was gonna sync it up with my camera, but it died. So I'm using my phone. Yay! But yeah, I got a blue. I think it's a blue Spark microphone. I got a nice little mixer, and it goes into my MacBook. Good for podcasts. Anyway, let's get into this haul. This is a weird one. A lot of weird things happened recently after I stopped doing hauls. I decided that I need to hit some collecting goals. Before I get to that, there's something I keep forgetting to show in my hauls, or I don't remember if I have shown it or not, which is the Rogue One soundtrack. I bought this forever ago. I love listening to it. It's one of my favorite soundtracks ever. But also, the other day, I got the Force Awakens soundtrack. So I'm just missing episodes 1 and 2, and then I have all the Star Wars movie soundtracks. Yeah, let's get into this. This is a weird one. So, I decided that I was going to finish collecting the Dark Horse Star Wars stuff. So, I bought the last 3 omnibuses I needed, which was Quinlan Vos Jedi in Darkness, which I had Rite of Passage, and maybe one other story in here. Oh, I think, the Stark Hyperspace Wars in here, and I own that, but I didn't own anything else. In fact, I've never read anything else. This is it's the only part of the Republic Star Wars run I've not read. I've read everything else. So that's going to be really fun to read. It's a little mangled, but nothing too bad. Next, the Droids Omnibus. Now you might be wondering, Jeremy, didn't you buy this? No. I brought the Droids and Ewoks Omnibus, which was the Marvel Comics. Back in the day, they did some Dark Horse comics of R2-D2 and C-3PO, and they were broken into 3 storylines. The longest one is the Calibra Adventures, or Calibre Adventures. Second one's Rebellion. And the third one, which I didn't have, was the Protocol Offensive. And the Protocol Offensive is really short, but has some cool art, and I couldn't find it anywhere, so I ended up buying the Omnibus, even though I owned the other 2, so I think it's well worth it. The art looks awesome. And lastly, I got the Adventures Omnibus. For those of you who don't know, Adventures were digest-sized Dark Horse comics. Sort of like, well, they were the pseudo-sequel to the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars Adventures comics. They did those. Then they did some Dave Filoni Clone Wars ones. And then they did an Ewoks one, like a single one. And I own all those. But I didn't own these. And they came out with an omnibus of them because some of them are hard to get. A lot of them are easy, but some of them are hard to get. And these are original trilogy stories. And one of them, like there's a Boba Fett one, there's a Han Solo one, there's a Luke one. They're fun little stories, but they're kind of kid friendly. So we'll get into the 2 hardcover Dark Horse books I got. Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison, officially the last Star Wars Dark Horse story I needed. This was hard for me to get. I ended up having to order used off of Amazon, which I don't like doing. It cost a little bit to do it. But I found this one for like $10, Darth Vader and the Ninth Assassin, which is not as good as the Ghost Prison. But now I own all these Darth Vader stories, because I had Cry of the Shadows and The Lost Command already. I just needed these 2 to round off my collection. So I have all that. So I own everything Dark Horse Star Wars in some sort of form. Same with the original Marvel stuff. I own that too. It's weird. I own everything. It's like I'm mad, but I'm not mad. I don't have enough shelf space to be mad. But you're probably wondering if this is the end. No. Oh no. Oh no, I'm not even started yet. I'll show what came today. Well, one of the ones that came today, which was sort of like, I found some good deals. And this was like, buy a certain book and you get this one. And I got the Ahsoka novel. Okay, I will live with that. It's not something I particularly wanted. Well, I had a passing interest in it. But no. And also, I got another copy of Dark Nest in hardcover. These are two different lots. Technically three, because one came by itself. But yeah, so this one will get raffled off in the next contest I do. Which is cool, because Dark Nest is a little difficult to find in hardcover. They're all hard to find in hardcover. What am I talking about? Everything's hard to find now. Thanks to me and other people, we brought up the prices on a lot of things. Except Bantam books. Single Bantam books are pretty easy to find still. I guess they were so in such high demand and there's so many printed. It's pretty easy to find Crystal Star or like the Thrawn trilogy or something in hardcover. But we'll get into this one. Also, I didn't have it in hardcover, but I wasn't looking for it. Outbound Flight. So that's cool. And it's in the book club size. Which the young adult books are in the book club size now. And I like that. I like that size. I don't know why Sci-Fi Book Club does not have Star Wars books anymore. Which sort of defeats... Well, they do. They don't have the novels. So, like, I can't get the novels for, like, really cheap anymore. And then they don't even come in that size. Like, I got New Republic Bloodline from Sci-Fi Book Club, and it's, like, the standard hardcover size. I'm like, no, I want the smaller size. I mean, I don't mind the standard hardcover size, but I prefer this size. It's easy to read. They're really light. You know? And plus, they did things like this. Let's see, what do I want to show? I will show these. So, I bought this and Dark Nest because I wanted this. This is the Republic Commando hardcover. It has hard contact and 000. This is rare, as in I bought the only copy I've like the second copy I've ever seen on eBay. I bought. You can't find these at all. And of course, I bought the Republic Commando Volume 2, which has True Colors and Order 66 in it. Unfortunately, 501st does not have a hardcover release. I think that if Karen Traviss hadn't had her falling out, we would have had the second Imperial Commando book. We would have had another hardcover of this, like this, of those. But yeah. This is so cool to have. I bought the only copy of this I've ever seen on eBay as well. That's cool. And then lastly, something that I've been looking for a long time. It's a little beaten up, but I will accept it. The Tales hardcover. I talked about this a long time ago. And I've talked about it, I think I talked about it recently as well. These are hard to find. I've only ever seen it a handful of times. Matt owns a copy. And I've seen it on... Every once in a while, one pops up on eBay, and it's very expensive. But I got this for pretty cheap. And it has Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina, Tales of the Bounty Hunters, and Tales from Jabba's Palace. Just talking about the scum and villainy. There are other Tales books. They never got released in hardcover, though. And Tales from the Empire is just reprints of adventure journals. So it's not really essential if you have adventure journals. Tales from the New Republic I recommend getting. I think I don't own that. But it's only in paperback. And that has some adventure journal stories that never got printed. It got printed in Tales from the New Republic. It came out later. Like, these were already a thing long before Tales from the New Republic came out. So yeah, this is so weird to me to have. It's so weird. This, with the exception of Tales from the New Republic, well, I can just say I own every hardcover Bantam Star Wars book. I do. I own every Dark Horse Star Wars book now. Isn't that weird? It's weird for me. The Dark Horse stuff I've been collecting for over 10 years. That's 10 years of collecting. That's done. The Bantam stuff, I mean, I inherited my parents' collection. They were collecting those in the 90s. And what I mean by I inherited the collection, I inherited, I think, 4 or 5 books. And then built from there within the last couple of years. And now I'm done. It's so surreal. You know? I don't know what else to say. I've hit this weird point where I own like everything. I mean, I don't own everything, but in some form or another, I was looking at my paperbacks. I own all the Old Republic books. I mean, I own every single one, whether it's in paperback or hardcover back there. Everything post-Jedi I have in hardcover that exists in hardcover, and if it doesn't, I have the paperback, with the exception of Tales from the New Republic, because it's not really that essential. I own... The only thing that I have major gaps in with novels is, I don't own all of the Clone Wars novels, like in that era. And I don't own a lot of the young adult books. I can say I own Junior Jedi Knights, like a whole run of Junior Jedi Knights, a whole run of, what was it? Why? The Jaina and Jason books, Young Jedi Knights. I own all those in hardcover, which that was hard to do. I own half of Jedi Apprentice. I own all of the Boba Fett young adult books. I own all but one of the last of the Jedi young adult books, and I own a couple of Jedi Quest. That's my weak point in my Star Wars collecting, that and Clone Wars novels. Because I own all of the Clone Wars comics, because I own everything that way. But I don't own the Clone Wars novels. I own some. I own like the Republic Commando books, of course, and a few others, like Labyrinth of Evil and a Yoda Dark Rendezvous, but I don't have everything. That would probably be what I'd work on next. Eventually, I very much slowed to a stop with collecting, just because I need to work on other adult things. And plus, it gives me time to review these things for you. By the way, I'm just going to tell you the next review is a Road to Crucible episode. About time, I know. Mara Jade by the Emperor's Hand. Timothy Zahn, Michael Stackpole comic book. And it's one of my favorites. So, anyway, have a nice day.